ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we just completed that chapter yesterday, in which we discussed different questions were asked by Arjuna and the answers thereof. We also saw the principle of last remembrance, which was enunciated by Supreme Lord in Bhagavad Gita. And based upon that, he tells that if you remember me at the time of death, then you are surely going to return to me. And then he concludes that eight answers by saying that remember first and fight. Okay, both things should happen side by side. Mamanshvara Yuddhacha. Then Lord takes up for Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So how some yogi who is uttering Omkara and he leaves the body thinking about Krishna while uttering Omkara, where he may also return back to Krishna. Then we saw pure devotional service mentioned in 8th chapter, pure devotional service. Pure devotional service also mentioned in 7th chapter, right? And that's also mentioned in 8th chapter. So some small little section, 14 to 16 sloka. Ananya Cheta Manaso. The sloka, if you remember, Ananya Cheta Manaso. Ananya, only Krishna, Nityashaha. So always thinking about Krishna. So in this way, devotees are engaged in devotional service, remembering him without deviation. So Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginam. For such souls, Krishna is very easily accessible. Sulabha Partha easily attains Krishna. Then Krishna tells about comparison between spiritual and material world. How material world is the place of bhutva praliyate, creation, annihilation, and we see the time of creation and the one day of Brahma. We saw the calculation of one day of Brahma, the calculation of whole universal situation, 311 trillion, 40 billion years. And in this way, different types of four levels of annihilation is taking place in universe. And in this way, jiva, living entities, like we all, are repeatedly taking into manifested form. Just like now we have a manifested form taking of the material body, and after that we helplessly get annihilated. We just leave the material world. So like this, it's happening. So, but parastasmastu bhavanyo vyakta vyakta sanata. From this bhava, this material world, which is filled up with dukkhalema shashvatam, and which is bhutva bhutva pralaya, the most temporary, it is filled with miseries and it's very temporary, and because annihilation and creation and annihilation, the cycle goes on unlimitedly for eternal time. So there is a separate world other than this parastasmat, and it is superior than this material world. Bhava anya vakto vakta sanatana. So nasat vinashiti. In this material worlds get annihilated. That in spiritual word never gets annihilated. So then we saw supremacy of devotion in attending the Supreme, that devotion service never expects any conditions for returning. There is no requirement of consideration of time, place, and circumstances. When a jiva leaves the body, if he remembers Krishna, he always remembers Krishna, then it is 100% sure that without doubt he will return home back to God for the pure devotees. Otherwise, for yogis, those are not pure devotees. They have mukti kancha, and they're having different technical pathway for returning to the spiritual world. So that's what we saw. Devotion service needs no other consideration except loving devotion service and absorption in the service, Nam Rup Gundila of the Lord. That only is sufficient. So one gets benefit of performance of all different types of activities, jnana, karma, sacrifice, finances, everything, just by performing pure devotion service. So now the chapter 9 we are going to discuss. Chapter 9 is called confidence in knowledge, right? Most confidence in knowledge. Why it is called most confidence in knowledge? Because there should be some confidence in knowledge, more confidence in knowledge, and most confidence in knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada will tell in coming up purpose and why it is so. So let's begin. Before that, we shall have little breakdown of chapter 9 discussed. First, from sloka number first till sloka number 3, the qualifications and disqualifications are mentioned. What is the qualification to hear this most confidential knowledge, and what are the disqualifications? Yeah, because if qualification is there, then one will attain the success or the benefit of hearing very quickly. If the qualifications are not there, then even though hearing many times, he will not able to get the benefit. From sloka 4 till 10, Krishna's inconceivable relationship with the material world is again discussed. So are you able to figure out something similar had happened in the previous chapters? Chapter 7 and chapter 9 goes quite parallel. Almost similar themes are discussed in chapter 7 and chapter 9. So in chapter 7 also, if you remember, Lord tells about how these 8 material elements are his external energy. A similar thing is happening in chapter 9. Krishna is telling us how he's connected with this material world inconceivably. He's the supreme controller. The material world seemingly moves independently, but it's not so. Krishna is there in the background. Of course, Krishna is not directly, directly maintaining and running the show of material world, but Krishna remains in the background, and he inconceivably is creating, maintaining, and destroying the material world. From 11th sloka till 19th sloka, non-worshippers and worshippers are discussed. Krishna compares the pure devotees with impersonalist demigod worshippers and those who worship the universal form. And he also tells how to meditate upon Vishwarupa. From text 20 to 28, comparing demigod worshippers and devotees. So, what are the different destinations? Even though they worship, how they worship in Krishna only, but in the wrong way. So, demigod worshippers go to demigods. Worshippers of ghosts, goblins, bhoot, pishat, they go to their planet. Worshippers of pitras, forefathers, they will go to forefathers' planet. And worshippers of me will come to me. Then 27 till 34, the glory of directly worshipping Krishna is mentioned. And here that most confidential knowledge is revealed by the Lord. Why this chapter is most confidential? Because in this chapter only pure devotional service is mentioned. No Mishra Bhakti is mentioned. Just like in previous chapter we saw Yoga Mishra Bhakti is also mentioned. So, but in this particular chapter, only pure devotional service is mentioned. So let's begin. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anusuyave jnanam vijnanam sahitam yajnatvam mokshase shubhat. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So, what are the qualifications? Non-enviousness. Anusuyave, anusuyave, because you are never envious of me. That's why Lord is going to tell the confidential knowledge, jnanam and vijnanam. Jnanam tute guhyatamam pravakshami anusuyave. So, this confidential knowledge, jnanam and vijnanam, the realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Moksha se asubhat. So let's go. Someone can read the purport.
Purport by His Divine Grace as Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. As a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed among devotees. This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and the sincerity of the particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the signs of Krishna in association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this ninth chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And in the second and third chapters, the spiritual knowledge is described is called confidential. Topics discussed in the seventh and eighth chapters are related to devotional service, and because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in the ninth chapter deal with unalloyed, pure devotion. Therefore, it is called the most confidential. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, this first verse has significant,
Yes.
probably little up, more up. Yes, this first verse has specific significance. The words idam jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of nine different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these nine elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the signs of Krishna. Simply by to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of spiritual realization, but one should recognize the difference between the activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not a body. In the seventh chapter, we already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all these material manifestation. Now, in the ninth chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. The Sanskrit word, the Sanskrit word anasvaya, swave in these words is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately. Because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So, such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure transcendental personality, this chapter will be very beneficial. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, Srila Prabhupada is very beautifully telling that for those who have faith upon Krishna, this particular knowledge of ninth chapter will be very, very beneficial. So, who is non-envious, who is anusuyavit, for that person, his most confidential knowledge doesn't remain confidential. Right? Like the ninth chapter is called most confidential, isn't it? But what type of most confidential is this? That Lord Himself has put this in Bhagavad Gita and made it to be public for everyone. Is this even confidential, pros? Like you are telling that this is the most confidential thing, and you go to the publishing house and you get copy of it and distribute it in lakhs in number. Is it even any more confidential? Yes, no. No, it is not actually, right? It no more confidential. But Lord is telling that still it is most confidential because everybody will not be able to understand this. Right? But those who are Anusuya way, no enviousness toward Lord and also his associates. They only will able to understand this most confidential knowledge. Anusuya. So Srila Prabhupada also tells why it is most confidential because here the glories of the Lord is mentioned and the only pure devotion service is described here. Only pure devotion service that we already discussed. Okay, so let's go to next sloka. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Vitramidamuttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Sushukam Kartumavayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self-realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it joyfully performed. Abhiram Chatri.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace Guru Srila Prabhupada. This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of the Education because it is the essence of all doc, doctrines and the philosophy is explained before. Among the principal philosophers in the Indias are Gautama,
Kanad
Kanada Kapil,
Kapila.
Kanad Kapil, and Yajna Valakya, and the Chandilya and the Vaishnava. And finally, there are the Vyasadeva and the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So there is no depth of knowledge in the field of the philosophy and the transcendental knowledge. Now the Lord says that this is ninth chapter is the king of all such knowledge. The essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kind of philosophy. It is the most confidential because the confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. And the king of all confidential knowledge eliminate the devotional service. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in the external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is, unfortunately, no university or education institution where the science of the spirit soul is introduced. Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the bodily necessities of life, not caring for the vital soul. The Bhagavad Gita, especially from the second chapter on, stress on the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord said that this body is the perishable and that is the soul not perishable. Antavanta ime deha nityashuktam sariranaha. That is a confidential part of the knowledge. Simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from this body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal, but that give no positive information about the soul. Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in the void and become impersonal. But actually, that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive when the being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of the spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicates here as the constituting the king of the all knowledge, the most confidential part of the all knowledge. This knowledge is the purest form of all activities, as explained in the Vedic literatures in the Padma Purana. Man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the result of the sin after sin. Those who are engaged in the productive activities and entangled in the different stages and forms the sinful reactions. For instance, when the seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small First is small sprouting plants, then it assumes from the form of a tree. Then it flowers and bears fruits. And when it is complete, the flower and fruits are enjoyed and by the person who has sown the seeds of the tree. Similarly, a man performs sinful acts and like a seed is taking time to fructify. Therefore, there are the different stages. The sinful actions may have already stopped within the individual, but the result of the fruit that sinful actions are still to be enjoyed. There are the sins which are still in the form of the seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, which we are enjoying the distress and the pain. As explained in the 28th verse of the 7th chapter, a person who has completed under the reaction of all sinful activities and who is fully engaged in the pious activities, being freed from the duality of this material world, become engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, those who are actually engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord already freed from all reactions. This statement is confirmed in the Padma Purana. अपराध अपराध पहलाम परपम अपराध अपराध फलम पापम कुंतम बीजम पुलो नुखम
प्रारब्ध अप्रारब्ध
अप्रारब्ध अप्रारब्ध फलम पापम
कूटम
कूटम तम
बीजफलोन्मुखम
बीजम पुलो नुखम क्रमेणैव प्रलायेत.
ये विष्णु भक्ति रतात्मनाम.
For those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fruit fructified in the stalks or in the form of a seed, gradually vanish. Therefore, the purifying potential of the devotional service is very strong, and it is called the Pavitram Uttama, the purest. Uttama means transcendental. Tamas means the material world of darkness, and the Uttama means that which is transcendental to material activity. Devotional devotional activities are never to be considered material, although sometimes it appears that devotees are engaged just like ordinary men. One who can see and is familiar with the devotional service will know that there are not material activities. They are all spiritual and devotional, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the result directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offense, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly become purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Furthermore, if one engaged not only in hearing but trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if engaged himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feel spiritual process. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it once become pure. In the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26, this is also described in the following words. Prakashasya cha karmanya abhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one become enlightenment without a doubt. A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who is the life who in that life happened to be the son of a mad servant. He had no education nor was born into the high family, but when his mother was engaged in the service of the great devotees, Narada also became engaged. And sometimes, in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narada personally says, उच्च हिस्सा लेपन अनुमोदितो विजय है शक्रत इष्मा भुंजे तद आपशता किला विषः एवं प्रवर्तस्य विष्णुद्धा चेतसा तदधर्म तदधर्मा एवात्मा रुचिः प्रजायते. In this verse, the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada describes his previous life of his disciple Vyasadeva. He says that while engaged as a body servant of those purified devotees during the 4 months of their stay, he has intimately associating with them. Sometimes those sages left remains of food on their dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste the remnants. So he asked the great devotees for their permissions, and when they gave it, Narada ate those remnants and consequently became the freed from all sinful reaction. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure-hearted as the sages. The great devotees realized that the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, the Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada says further, तत्रान्वा अहं कृष्णकथा प्रगायतम् अनुग्रहाहेन शृणावां मनोहरा तः श्रद्धाममेनुपदं विश्रणवतः प्रिया सर्वास्य आगमः महाभावता रुचि महाभाव मामा भाद रुचि. By associating with the stage, Narada got the taste of the hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Prakashasa cha karmanya abhyasat. If one is engaged simply in the act of devotional service, everything is revealed in his everything is revealed to him automatically and he is understand. This is called the pratyaksha, directly perceived. The word dharmaya means the path of religion. Narada was the explanation of the maidservant. He has no opportunity to go to the school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narada also got the opportunity and simply by associating achieved in the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of all religion in devotional service, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sa vai pumsham paro dharma yato bhakti adokshe. Religious people generally do not know that what is the highest perfection of religious is the attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in the regards to the last verse, chapter 8, Vedeshu Yajneshu Tapasu Chaiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization. But here, although Narada never went to the school or the spiritual master and was not educated in the Vedic principles, he acquired the highest result of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who is associated with the great Acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studies the Vedas, can become familiar with all knowledge necessary for realizations. The process of devotional service is very happy one Shushukam. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord and can attend philosophical lecture or transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharya. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat remnants of the food offered to the God. Nice, palatable dishes. It is very strict. Devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. He is ready to accept from the devotees any kind of offering. Never mind what. Even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are available is every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of the social position and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history simply by tasting the tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Great sages like Sanat Kumara become great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love which things are offered to him. It is said here that the devotional service is eternally existing. It is not a Mayavadi philosopher claim. Although they sometimes take so-called devotional service, their idea is that the long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. Such temporary time serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actually, devotional service continue even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet in the kingdom of the God, he is also in although engaged there in the service of the Supreme Lord, he does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. As will be seen in Bhagavad Gita, actual devotional service begin after liberation, after one liberated. When one is situated in the Brahman position, Brahma Bhuta, one's devotional service begin. Shama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madhvakta Labate Param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. But by these yogi methods, one may make a little progress toward Bhakti Yoga. But without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand that which is the personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed that when one becomes purified by executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from realized soul, then he can understand the science of Krishna or the science of God. एवं एवं प्रसन्न मनसो Bhagavad Bhakti Yogatah. When one heart is cleared of all nonsense, then one can understand what is God is. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is king of all educations and the king of all confidential knowledge. It is purest form of religion and it is executed joyful without difficulty. Therefore, no one should adopt it.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai
To,
Shri Ram.
to convince us so that we could accept this process, Srila Prabhupada has given such a wonderful purport and humongous purport. Every word of sloka Srila Prabhupada is describing how it is Rajavidya, king of all the knowledge, how he is the king of all the knowledge, is the king of all the philosophies, Vedanta Sutra. So this is the king of all knowledge, pure devotion service. And also, this is a very beautiful sloka comes in Mahabharata, which tells whatever is there in Mahabharata, that is there outside also. The sloka goes like this. एतद् अस्ति अन्यत्र अस्ति एतद् अस्ति च अन्यत्र एतन् न अस्ति न तत् क्वचित्. If something is there in the material world as a name of knowledge, that must be there in Mahabharata. And if something is not there in Mahabharata, that would not be there outside also. Dharme cha arthe cha kame cha mokshe cha bharatarshava etan nas etan etad asti etad etan etad etad asti cha anyatra. Everywhere, wherever you find the knowledge, if it is there in Mahabharata, it's there also. It's not there in Mahabharata. It's not there. So, what is the crux of Mahabharata? That is Bhagavad Gita, right? The main thing of Mahabharata, the spiritual knowledge. So Mahabharata is also called Pancham Ved, है ना? For those who are Stri Vaishya Bandhu now, this Mahabharata is composed by Vyasdev and it's called Pancham Ved. Means whatever is there in the Vedas, this is there in Mahabharata also. And what is the crux of whole Vedas is Upanishad, which delineates Brahma Vidya. Similarly, crux of Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. And crux of Bhagavad Gita is ninth chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Raj Vidya. Right. So everything is just gets concluded in ninth chapter, so to speak. Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam. It is most confidence in knowledge. It is Pavitra. Pavitra means anybody who comes in connection with this knowledge, he will also get Pavitra. Anybody who does pure devotional service, he gets purified from all his reactions of previous lives, karmas. Whether those karmas are in whatever stage, aprarabdha stage, phalam stage, papam stage, kutam stage, bijam stage. So there are different stages. Hopefully all of you know it, how these stages works. It's mentioned in Padipura. So first comes papam, somebody does pap. Then pap somebody has does, immediately he will not get the reaction. So the reaction will get stored into aprarabdha. Means it has not yet come to the platform of fructification. So a prarabdha stage in which it is not actually ready to receive the fruit of the papa. Then comes to the platform after some number of days and years of prarabdha stage. Prarabdha means all the circumstances will be created so that now he will suffer for that papa. That's called prarabdha. And when the service, when the suffering has started, that's called phalam. You get phal. बोलते हैं ना फल तुम जो पा रहा है अपने कर्मों का फल पा रहा है. So after prarabdha, then phalam comes, and then it suffers, and the reaction gets annihilated. But still, what remains? That is called kutam and bijam. What is kutam? Kutam is the taste or the culture, the sanskar of previous papa that he has done, that remains back. The taste of or the sanskar of papa activities, sinful activities, that stays back. That's called kutam. And when a kutam is there, and from there he gets bijam. Bijam means he want to do the pap again. So bijam, the desire to do sinful activities again. Again he will do sinful activities. Again they will go into the chain of prarabdha, phalam, then kutam, then bijam, then papam. So like this is going on. But pure devotion service is such a powerful purifying factor, purifying process that it will annihilate even prarabdha. It can annihilate kutam, bijam, phalonmukham, everything will get annihilated, purified. Why? Because pure devotion service is actually going to treat the root of this whole papa tree. What is the whole root of papa tree? Is avidya. So because of avidya, one will desire to do sinful activities. Bijam. From avidya, the bijam comes. From bijam, papam comes. From papam, prarabdha, phalam. Then the culture, the bad sanskar begets. Kutam, and then again Kutam to Bijam, and Bijam to Papam, like this goes. That's why we sing in Guru Puja, Prema Bhakti Jaha Bhoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. So when somebody does Prema Bhakti, which is pure loving devotion service to the Lord, and also even have he had the desire to do Prema Bhakti, then that pure devotion service, what he does, it annihilates the avidya. So this avidya, Swarup Goswami Prabhupada tells, this avidya to be this avidya to be the female serpent, female serpent. So sometimes when fire gets caught up into a jungle, a huge jungle in which many snakes are there, serpents are there, different animals are there. So when the fire gets set up, then who gets killed first? These serpents, female serpents, because they cannot move fast. They don't have legs like other quadrupeds and other beasts in the jungle. So when pure devotion service fire starts burning, means Mad Virsya Bhakti, devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord, then what will happen? First thing that will take place, that avidya will go away. And what is that avidya? Is forgetfulness of Krishna. So when avidya will go away, then automatically the whole process of suffering of living relatives will vanish for good. So in this way, it is pavitram. So Rajvidya, Rajvitam, pavitram, idam uttamam. Tama, it is beyond this tama, sattva, rajas, tama, tama. Pratyakshavagamam dharmam susukam kartum. So by performance of pure devotion service, as mentioned in 9th chapter, one will immediately see the result. Pratyakshavagamam. Immediately he will realize the result. And that's what is called Vijnanam. He will realize it. What he will realize, he would be able to talk with Krishna. Right? He will be able to have association with Krishna just by performance of this pure devotion service. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Narada boy, Narad Muni in the previous life. How in just matter of serving those Bhakti Vedantas very humbly and taking the remnants of those Bhakti Vedantas, immediately he got change in the heart, immediately. And then he started following the footsteps of the Bhakti Vedantas. And so that's why it is Pratyakshavagram Dharmam Susukham Kartam. Susukham is performed with happiness, bliss. Everything is very filled with happiness. Chant, dance, take prasadam. Chant, dance, and take prasadam. Okay. And avaya means the effect and the fruit of these activities of prayer, pure devotion service will never get annihilated. Text 3. Ashraddhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa अप्राप्य माम निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसार वर्तमनि. Translation: those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of enemies, therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Purport. Purport. Hare Krishna. Abhiram too, if you are not able to, okay, go to the next sloka.
The faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is the most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. This is called real faith, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14. Yatha tarurmula nisechenena tripyanti tat skanda bhujo sakha pranoha pahara cha yathendriyanam tathaiva sarvaharanam achyutyajya. By giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves, and by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the demigods and all other living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopt the service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. Now, the development of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three divisions of Krishna conscious men. In the third class are those who have no faith. Even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. Uh, we have practical experience in discharging our missionary activities that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive, and as soon as they are economically a little well situated, they give up this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in the literatures of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called a first class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class are those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in good faith have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity are trying to follow. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down. One in the first class will surely make progress and achieve the results at the end. As far as the third class person in Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these third class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency toward Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga Jnana Yoga is vanquished, they become second class or first class persons in Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna conscious, Faith in Krishna is also divided into three stages and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. First class attachment, second class attachment, and third class attachment are also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in 11th canto. Those who have no faith, even after hearing about Krishna and the excellence of devotional service, who think that it is simply eulogy, find the path very difficult, even if they are supposedly engaged in devotional service. For them, there is very little hope of gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. So, so Prabhupada is talking about Shraddha. So this is the qualification, and if not having Shraddha, this is the disqualification also. So if somebody is not having Shraddha, good amount of Shraddha, in performance of devotional service. Even though he might be engaged for some time being, he won't be able to continue it. And he will again fall down into Mittu Sansara Vatmani. He will return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So many people, they first of all, very less number of people that take up Krishna consciousness, right? And amongst them, those who take up, there are very less number who are able to continue on, right? And for those who are able to continue on, we find that some of them, they happen to just give away also in a matter of some years of practice. Why it is so? Because Shraddha has not been developed. So this neophyte level, Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, second class, and Uttam Adhikari, first class. These gradations are there on the basis of Shraddha, right? Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam, Shraddha, Anusari. Chaturcharitamrita, Krishna's says. So as much Shraddha has been built up, that much he have the adhikar. So if the Shraddha is full, then he has a full adhikar of Krishna performance of pure devotion service. If Shraddha is less, then he has no adhikar. Even though he might be acting as to be a devotee, but internally he has no Shraddha. Internally he would be sticking with something else, some other conception of his own devotion service. So that's what it is. So Shraddha, how Shraddha could be increased? By association of those who are having higher Shraddha than us. So that's the way of increasing Shraddha. If we associate with devotees, those who are having higher Shraddha than us, then we can actually immediately, and not only association, serving them. Right? And that's what it is. We've seen devotees, they come, like one is very little Shraddha, and side by side there's another devotee with a lot of Shraddha. But still, he is not able to get benefit out of it. Why? Because there is no connection of service. There is no connection of inspiration because inspiration comes when there is a relationship of service. And then he finds that, and when it becomes too much, when then having less Shraddha person starts offending the higher Shraddha person, then it becomes like poison for him. And bhakti dies very soon. So devotion service is nothing but graduation of Shraddha. Madhuri Kadamini Shla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He tells that how one can go from the very little minuscule Shraddha till Prema and Sadhu Sangha or the association of those who are higher Shraddha is very, very important, very, very essential to get to that. Sadhu Sangha means very faithfully hearing from sadhus, those who are having a higher Shraddha. And trying to follow those instructions. So that creates just like yesterday day for yesterday I heard one lecture of Maharaj, so continuous for almost 1.5 hours. And the next day only I felt like uh, a huge leap of Shraddha in chanting Guru. Just by hearing one lecture. But what about serving and very faithfully following the orders and instructions? So it's all about more we get into association of pure devotees, more we get to the service of pure devotees who are physically present, and also Srila Prabhupada, the more Shraddha we can get. And we have to fence the Shraddha just like a small little sampling of plant is fenced when it is like very small. We have to fence that Shraddha from all different types of hazards. So Shraddha is of great importance. If Shraddha is not cultivated in this lifetime very carefully, and there could be a disaster, as we have seen many such cases. Shraddha has to be cultivated in good association. So let's go ahead. Many things are discussed. This particular section is very, very important, particular purport. So people, like even neophyte, they have the tendency of karma yoga, jnana yoga, and even if they're sometimes very less, then also they will come down to the level of karmi also. There is a chance of it. Text 4. Ashok, are you able to share?
Yes, Prabhu, I can say. Prabhu, is it visual?
Yeah, visible. So now hereafter, Lord is now again starting his description of how he is connected with this material world inconceivably. Inconceivable connection of Supreme Lord with this material world. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani na chaham tesu avastitah. Translation: by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Purport. Achyut Asogata Pro. Anupam Srinitai Pro.
Hare Krishna President,
Chalo,
purport by
now.
his doing this to the The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the gross material senses. It is said, अतः श्री कृष्ण नाम आदि न भवेत् ग्राह्यमिन्द्रिय सेवन को हित्वादौ स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यतः Shambhu 1 Lord Shri Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotion service under proper guidance is he revealed. In the Bhagavad Gita 538, it is stated, Preman Janak Purita Bhakti Vilochanena Santah Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. One can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda always within himself and outside himself if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. It is said that although he is all pervading everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. This is indicated here by the word abhyakta murtina. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him as we have discussed in the seventh chapter. The entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of these two different energies, the superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Just as the sun sign is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation. And everywhere is resting, everything is resting in that energy. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over the he has lost his personal existence. To to return to refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of king's energy. The different government departments are nothing but the energies of the king. Each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies. And as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vishtabhyam idam Krishnam. He is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so very clear, purport. So Lord has pervaded throughout the whole material universe with his unmanifested energy. Vishtabhyamidam Prasnam Ekansena. Everything is in him, and he is not in everything. And so exactly the opposite thing Lord is going to tell in the further slokas. That's why it is called inconceivable connection of material world with the Lord. Let's go to next. न च मत्स्कानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थो मम आत्मा भूतभावनः. Translation. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. See, the previous Lord has told it's rest in me. And Lord is telling, yet everything that's created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. But Nishanka Sinha Prabhu, Hare Krishna, if I do not get the response, then I will report to Jum Baba. And Jum Baba will take you out. Okay, Abhiram Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Papa. The Lord says that everything is resting on Him. Matisthani Sarvabhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on the shoulders. He seems to be very tired, holding the great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with the Krishna upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting upon him, he is aloof. The planetary system are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated in my inconceivable energy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is inconceivable opulence of the Lord. In the Nirukti Vedas, the Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said that Yujate Yujate Nenu Drakshateshu Kareshu. The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastime, displaying his energy. His person is full of different potential energies, and his determination is itself actually fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many independents, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explained this fact. Although he is maintainer of the sustainer of the universe, material manifestation, he does not touch his material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is situated, sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is inherited. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is difference between ourself and our presence, material mind. Because he is absolute spirit, simultaneously the Lord is present in everything, yet the common man cannot understand how it is also present possibly. He is different from the material manifestation, and everything resides on him. This is explained herein as Yogam Aishwaryam, the mystic power of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna. Could you go to the sloka? Yeah. So nacha matastani bhutani. So now Lord is telling it everything that is created does not rest in me. Does not rest in me means Lord has already put this whole show running. And Lord is there in his own abode. Golok Vrindavan is have nothing to do with this. Just as Prabhupada gives the example that see, I have already spoken and I have recorded it. And if you play the record, then is it as if I am only speaking? But now I am going somewhere, I am doing another program, and somebody is hearing my record somewhere else. So it's like that. So yet it is record of Srila Prabhupada for sure, but uh, actually it doesn't depend upon Srila Prabhupada now. Anybody can play it in any time. So everything that's created does not rest in me. Previously, Lord has told that everything rests in Him. Mm. So here Lord is telling everything that's created doesn't rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all divinities, although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. So to speak, even the Lord is everywhere as Paramatma, Lord's energy is everywhere, and but He is not a part of cosmos. He is fully transcendently situated. Seemingly He is in the material world, but He is actually not in the material world. Like Garbhodaksha Vishnu is there in material world, right? But is he in material world? No, he's not in material world. He's fully spiritually and transcendently situated in Garbhodaksha. So for myself, the very source of creation. Similarly for Mahavishnu, similarly for Sridham Vishnu. Sridham Vishnu is right there with us, but his situation is not of like us. Like we are in material world. We are conditioned by material world. But Supreme Lord is never conditioned in material world, even though he is there in the material world. Right? So he is there in every living entity. Although I am everywhere, he is everywhere. He is maintaining all living entities as Sridham Vishnu, pervaded everywhere. Yet nothing like he's not a part of this cosmic manifestation. The Sridham Vishnu, Karmadaksha Vishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu is not a part of cosmic manifestation. Seemingly, they seems to be part, right? But they are transcendently situated. Wherever they are, that's actually Vaikuntha, isn't it? We also know there is local Vaikuntha in this universe, where Lord stays in Sirodakshagara. And also there is Rama Vaikuntha, where Lord stays, having the same equal type of opulence as there in Vaikuntha. Ksir Sagar, there is Ksir Sagar. But in Rama Vaikuntha, there are all buildings, gardens, aeroplanes, everything is there that's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, right? The description of the spiritual world comes there. Description of kingdom of God, the chapter name is. So that is actually in this material world only. But even though it's a material world, but actually it's not a material world, right? It's transcendently situated, fully transcendently situated. Just like Mayapur Dham. Srila Prabhupada has told all my temples are Vaikuntha, transcendently situated. Of course, those transcendental activities would also go on. Then when it is transcendently situated. But in Vaikuntha, it's ever transcendently situated, and Lord is also transcendently situated. It's Vaikuntha only, there is no difference. So, in this way, Lord is not the part of cosmic manifestation. It never gets influenced by three modes. In fact, three modes is actually controlled by the Lord Himself. That's the difference between Lord's energy and Lord. What is the difference? Lord energy is under full control of Lord. Okay, so next, let's go to next loka. So example is given here. यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गो महान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानि तुपधारय. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So sky is given upma with the Lord. Lord is just like sky, and everything is just moving around in the sky. Lord is in the sky, but is sorry, Lord is like a sky, and in Lord everything moves, right? But at the same time, Lord is not there in everything. Right? Purport. Next. Someone else can read the purport. Nishan Prabhu. Anupam
Yes,
Srinitaya.
Prabhuji.
Haribol. Are you there, Prabhu?
Uh, yes, Prabhu. For the ordinary person, it is almost conceivable how the huge material creation is resting in him. But the Lord is giving an example which may help us understand. The sky may be the biggest manifestation we can conceive, and in the sky, the wind or air is the biggest manifestation in the cosmic world. The movement of the air influences the movements of everything. But although the wind is great, it is still situated within the sky. The wind is not beyond the sky. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestations are existing by the supreme will of the Lord, the supreme will of God, and all of them are subordinate to that supreme will. As we generally say, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the supreme personality of Godhead. Thus, everything is moving under His will. By His will everything be created. Everything is being created. Everything is being maintained and everything is being annihilated. He is aloof from everything, as the sky is always aloof from the activities of the wind. In the Upanishads, it is stated, Yad Visha Vatah Pavate. It is out of fear of the Supreme Lord that the wind is blowing. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.8.1. In the Brihad Aranyak Upanishad 3.8.9, it is stated, Etasya va aksarasya prasasane gargi surya chandramasau
Vidratau.
vidhratau vid,
Tishtata
vidhratau
etasya.
etasya va
Aksarasya
aksarasya
prasasane
prasasne gargi dhyav aprathyo vidhatau
Tishtataha.
istataha. By the supreme order, under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moon, the sun, and other great planets are moving. In the Brahma Samhita 5.52, also it is stated, Yak Chakshur Esa Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Sura Murtir Asesa Teja Yas Yagnaya Brahmati Sambrata Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This is the description of the movement of the sun. It is said that the sun is considered to be one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord, and it is said that it has immense potency to diffuse heat and light. Still, it is moving in its prescribed orbit by the order and the supreme will of Govinda. So, from the Vedic literature, we can find evidence that this material manifestation, which appears to us to be very wonderful and great, is under the complete control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This will be further explained in the later verses of this chapter. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So everything is under the supreme control of the Lord. Just like even though wind is very powerful, but it cannot go beyond the sky. Hmm. The wind can go only in the sky. If there is no sky, there is no wind, isn't it? So in that way, Supreme Lord is also encompasses everything. Whatever is happening under Supreme Lord only. But sky has nothing to do with the movement of the air, right? Is there anything to do with it? Sky को कुछ करना है क्या? Hey, don't go there, don't go there. It is so vast that that's it just move, but it cannot move beyond the sky, right? That's like that's like Supreme Lord. So all this material show is happening. Supreme Lord Krishna has nothing to do with that. He's just there in Golok. But still, everything is happening by the supervision of the Supreme Lord Krishna only. That's like sky. So the whole setup is all going on. That's why the previous karma of living entities, they're getting different types of birth, they're suffering their results, they're enjoying their past things, and everything is going on. It's all set up, done. It's like already programmed uh, algo is now Maya Devi is just running it. And an algorithm who is getting processed, Jivas are getting processed. We all are getting processed, life after life. And it's all automatic system going on. Supreme Lord has nothing to do with this. Yet nothing happens without the mercy, without the desire of Supreme Lord. So this is the inconceivable power of the Lord. Let's go to next. Sarvabhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaya Punastani Kalpala Visritamiham. Question of Kunti. At the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. For what?
Hare Krishna. The creation,
Wait,
maintenance, and annihilation
Anupam Sridham.
of yes,
Anupam
Prabhu.
Sridham.
The creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestations are completely dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. At the end of the millennium means at the end of Brahma, at the death of Brahma, Brahma lives for 100 years and his one day is calculated 43 uh, 4,300 billion of our earthly years. His night is of the same duration. His monthly cosmic his month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. After 100 such years, when Brahma dies, the devastation of or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by the Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. Then again when there is a need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by his will. Bahusyam, Bahusyam, Bahusyam. Although I am one, I shall become many. This is Vedic aphorism, Chandogya Upanishad 6-3. He expands himself in his material energy and the whole cosmic manifestation again take place.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So Sarvadani Kaunte Prakritim Yanti Mamikam. So all the living created beings, they take birth from the Lord and Kalpakshay. At the end of millennium, Punah Tani Kalpadav Visramya. So at the end of millennium, all living entities. Millennium means here to be the end of the Brahma's life. So Brahma dies, means every living entity they helplessly merged into Supreme Lord. And the next creation, everybody again comes back again. And when this number of zeros is puzzling to read, then you can read it in a scientific way. Like 4.3 into 10 to the power of 9 of our early years, right? Then you were thinking billion, trillion, kya bola pata nahi chala, jillion. So you can just put it like that. Okay, next. Next. कीर्तिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्रामम् इमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतिर्वशत्. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. अच्युत सुखात्मा प्रभु. अच्युत सुखात्मा प्रभु. Still is joined, but
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Prabhu, kindly keep your video on so that I could figure out that you are there, right?
Okay, Prabhu. I am here, but I am also
Oh, you are
somewhere.
there. टोपी पहन लियो बहुत अच्छा किया संडे को टोपी उतार दो और संडे हाँ
I am at side.
साइड पे अच्छा
Sarvatra. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This material world is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Personality of God. This has already been explained several times. At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahat Tattva, into which the Lord as his first Purusha incarnation. Mahavishnu enters He lies within the casual, sorry, causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universe, the Lord again enters as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Each universe is in that way created. He is still
Went out. Let me share.
Okay, bro.
he still further manifests as himself as Sirodakshay Vishnu, and that Vishnu enters into everything, every into the minute atom. This fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature. And as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begin. The activities of the different species of living beings are begun from the very moment of that creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. Man, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. It is clearly indicated here by the word avasham that the living entities have nothing to do with this process. The state of being in their past life is the past creation, is simply manifested again. And all this is done simply by His will. This is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after creating different species of life, He has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of the various living entities. And so the Lord does not become involved in it with it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. The Lord is everywhere, as Sridham Vishnu has mentioned here. But Lord is not involved into the activities of living entities. And what living entities are doing? Just they are trying to fulfill their inclinations. And Lord is making all the arrangements, giving all the opportunities to fulfill their different kinds of inclination into every bodies. Unless somebody gets inclined to do loving devotion service to the Lord and the service to the Lord and nothing else, till that time living entity has to go on testing, trying, satisfying different inclinations. Isn't it? And Lord is also very merciful in is giving all opportunities to living entities to fulfill their all inclinations. Practically, jivas have nothing to do with this all inclinations. It's all are, it's what to say, it's temporary and just they are moving from one inclination to another inclination. Inclination of dog, from the cat to monkey, monkey to human beings to again demons, maybe demigods. So I don't know what are the inclination we have tasted in previous life. Anybody remember previous life what inclination we had? Nobody remembers, and we don't know in the future also what. So that's why Lord is prompting us to cultivate the inclination to serve Lord with loving devotion service. So that's what is the full surrender, and that will make us to come out of this repeated cycle of birth and death, repeated annihilation and creation. Text 9. न च वां दानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनमसक्तं तेषु कर्मसु न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय. O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. All this work of living entities and work of Krishna. Our Lord is, is giving different bodies to different living entities and living entities are getting created, annihilated helplessly. All these things can't bind Krishna. I am ever detached from all the material activities, seated as though neutral, udasina. Purport, Kunjman, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. One should not think in this connection that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no engagement. In his spiritual world, he is always engaged. In Brahma Samhita 5.6, it is stated, Atmaramasya tasyati prakritaya na samagama. He is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with these material activities. Material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. This neutrality is mentioned here with the word Udasinavat. Although he has control over every minute detail of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral. Although he has his hand in every sphere of activity, in the Vedanta Sutra 2.1.34, it is stated Vaisamya Narginya na he is not situated in the dualities of this material world. He is transcendental to these dualities, nor is he attached to the creation and annihilation of this material world. The living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord does not interfere with them.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, example is very important to be remembered. How Srila Prabhupada is giving different examples to put forward one point. Example of court judge had nothing to do with this. Who is getting hanged, who is getting rewarded, who is getting degree. But he is doing so. Right? Similarly, Supreme Lord, by his supreme will only everything is happening. Somebody is getting higher bar, somebody lower bar, somebody getting liberated, somebody getting reinstated in his own Swarupa and Goloka. So everything is happening by the rules set by him. And Supreme Lord is actually seemingly involved into it, but actually not involved into it. At the same time, Lord is always neutral, although he has his hand in every sphere of activity. That also 31, 34, it is stated, Vaishamya Nagranya na. So Vaishamya Nagranya. He is not situated in the duality of this material. Vaishamya. Text 10. मया अध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्वि परिवर्तते. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and unmoving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So now Lord is telling how it is happening. The material nature is making everything run. And who is running the show of material world? Who in the background of material world? Is Krishna. This is the same thing, same vision, which was seen by Brahmaji when he meditated upon the Lord at the beginning of creation. The same vision which Narada Muni told Vyasadeva to see before he could write Srimad Bhagavatam. He sees that how material world is under full control of Krishna. Maya chatat apashrayam. Bhakti yogena manasi pranyak. Bhakti yogena manasi samahite male. Namasya purusham purnam maya. Apashyat purusham purnam maya chatat apashrayam. So purusham purnam, Krishna is Param Purush. He is who is fully controlling this Maya. And with this Maya, fully Jivas are controlled. Living entities are fully controlled by Maya Devi. But Nishant Prabhu, are you there?
Yes,
Please do.
purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material manifestation, but the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita that of all the living entities in different forms and species, I am the Father. The Father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for the child. And similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his mere glance, injects all the living entities into the womb of the material nature, and they come out in their different forms and species according to their last desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, take their different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to his material creation. He simply little down glances over the material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately because he glances over the material nature. There is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti when there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. Hare
Yes. Haribol. So, Supreme Lord, just by his vision, everything is just put into motion. And that into motion till now. Everything is going on. Supreme Lord has nothing to do with this. All whatever is going on material. Yeah. So from text 11 onwards, uh, different section is going to come. So this non-worshippers and worshippers. So this section we shall take up in the next sitting, most probably next week. Anything to say?
Krishna, bro.
Yes.
So here just in the last verse we read, there is one example of flower and smell.
Mm-hmm.
How is that related to the Supreme Lord and material nature? Can you please explain this once, actually? That
Very beautiful.
chronology.
Very nice question. And this particular example is very important to remember. The flower and the smell. The flower is smelled by a person without touching the flower, right? Flower is somewhere, and the smell goes to the nose of the person who is smelling it, and he will smell. Oh, this is I smell the flower. But is there any physical touch? There is no physical touch. So just like that. The Supreme Lord is also without having any physical touch. He is actually making the whole show run on this material world. So practically, physically, there is no connection of Krishna and the material nature. Is not at all in connection with material nature. But by Supreme Lord will, just by his will, only everything happening. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is told that material world is just just a dream of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is sleeping and he's just dreaming. Okay, let there be universe, and let the universe gets all the facilities of jivas to get their material desires fulfilled, and so that's just like that is going on. So, are you able to get it, Prabhu?
Prabhu, so like the flower is the material world, and person is the supreme personality of Godhead, and the smell is like his supreme will. Is it like that?
Supreme will, yeah, supreme will of the Lord. So, supreme will of the Lord makes everything done automatically. That's my desire. Sa akshata, sa asrajata. Just by the vision of the Lord, sa akshata, sa asrajata. And everything happens, everything gets created. And how it gets created, the whole process starting from Pradhan to Mahatattva, Mahatattva to false ego in three modes. And then three modes, ignorance starts creating the Panch Mahabhut and Panch Tanmatras. False ego mode of ignorance creates the five Jnanendriyas, five Karmendriyas. False ego mode of goodness creates all the Devatas and the mind. Then whole things are again back reunited with the jivas, and the different jivas get created according to their previous sanskaras. So also is running us like that, just by the desire of the Lord. The Lord has nothing to do with this material world. Material world is just functioning by its own. By its no own means uh, by the will of the Lord, but Lord has nothing to exert into material world to do something. It's like that. So Lord, there is no physical connection of the Lord and the material nature. Even from the beginning of creation, it's so. Lord even doesn't see directly to the material nature. He sees through Lakshmi. So material nature doesn't come directly into the purview of Mahavishnu even. Mahavishnu sees material nature, but indirect seeing is that. But just by indirect seeing only everything is started and is going on like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So we'll pause here. Thank you so much, all of you, for such patience and attention. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande.